everyone, so today I wanted to show you how I go ahead and cut Jacob's hair. Jacob is almost 20 months old, and so I have been cutting his hair since he was a year old, since he was about 12 months old, and so I thought it would be fun to show you guys kind of how I go ahead and do it. So the very first thing I will say is I like to go ahead and put something on him just so that the hair doesn't fall on him. The other thing is he is sitting across from an iPad. I always play a show or something for him to watch, something to preoccupy him and keep him kind of looking straight. It's much, much easier to cut his hair when I'm doing that. So the first few things that I will use, obviously, I like to use a pair of clippers. You don't have to use clippers. I just started using clippers. I used to just use scissors. It just takes a little longer with just scissors, and so we got these handy clippers, and so that's what I use now. The other thing that I do use is I just use a little bit of a trimmer. I like to do that to like his little ears and the back of his neck. Trim it all up. That way all those straggly hairs get taken care of as well. Obviously, you're going to need a pair of scissors. If you have thinning shears, that works really, really well too, to kind of texturize the back and make it not so like, you know, blunt, your blunt lines. And then, of course, a brush or a comb. So those are what I like to use. I also have a little bottle of water here that sits with us. Jacob likes to play with that. So I will go ahead and start, and I will just sort of walk you through it as I go. So let's get started. So the very first thing that I like to do is I like to get Jacob's hair wet. I like to use a spray bottle for this as opposed to actually putting his head like under the sink or something, because I only want his hair to be damp. So I just put a little bit in at a time on my hands and kind of just rub it through his hair until it's kind of the amount of wetness I would like. Then I move on to the clippers, and before I do anything with the clippers, I like to let him feel the vibration of it when it's turned on. That way he's not freaked out by the clippers, and I do this every single time I cut his hair, even though he's probably used to it by now. So as you can see here, I am taking the clippers and I'm just moving kind of just slightly above his ears, just along the back half of his hair, and I am using a 1/4 inch attachment for this portion. So I just work up until I have that all blended, and then I go ahead and I switch my attachment to a 1/2 inch attachment and start doing the rest. And this part I go around his ears and up to the crown of his head. One big tip that I would have for you guys is just to make sure that you follow the grain of his hair. Just like you would with woodworking, you want to make sure that you go the way that his hair is growing. And the reason that is because hair doesn't grow just straight up. As you can see here, I'm working sideways and diagonally and all the different angles, because that way it'll just blend and be so much more soft and so much more smooth. Don't be afraid to go over it 100 times, because the clipper is only going to allow you to cut what's kind of missing. So take your time and just go over it until you are satisfied with the way it looks. Like I said, I only go up to the crown of his head here and then I stop. I like to have the top of his head a little bit longer. So at this point, I switch, I turn that off, and I start using my scissors and my comb. Now what I'm trying to do here is blend the top half to the stuff that I just cut with the clippers. This can be a little bit challenging, but basically all I do is I hold my hand at an angle, pull my comb towards the hair, and I just make sure that everything looks kind of even. That's the best way that I can describe it. And then I just go ahead along the top and I just cut anything that looks a little bit too long. So I like to cut my bangs backwards first, and then I cut them along the front of his head. That way it's just way more even, and it just gives it a bit of texture, and it's not super, super flat. So here you can see I'm combing his hair down, and I'm just working it to the front, that way I can cut it nice and straight. So I go ahead and just cut along a nice straight line and just brush it out, make sure that it looks good, and then I just kind of tidy up any pieces that look to be a little bit long once I have it styled the way that I would normally have it styled. Then I use my little trimmers, I let him feel it again, and then I just go around his ears, picking up any of the little pieces that have kind of been too long or that I wasn't able to get with the clippers or my scissors, and then just along the back of his neck. And that's pretty much it. That is his haircut. I like to have it shorter in the back and longer in the front. It doesn't take long at all, and it is super, super, super cute. Anyway guys, that's it. That's the final product. I like to move really, really fast. because that way they don't get impatient. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you go ahead and cut your toddler or a baby's hair. Go ahead and give it a big thumbs up if you did. Hit that subscribe button to follow along. And we will see you in my next video. You say bye guys. Cut mommy's hair now? Cut mommy's hair. No. Bye guys.